Ramagade, legede. Oh, Rabozadala, brozagade. Lika brazandala, Jesus. Papa God, intervene for we. Do for we, as you do for the Israelites. The way who they suffer, in their life so you don't forget we. Papa God, intervene for we. Orphans are crying, widows are crying, fatherless children are crying, the less privileged are crying. Oh, may we pray. Oh, may we pray. Oh, northwest and southwest, when I come together, may we pray. Oh, prayer is a key. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, let me pray. Oh, let me pray. Oh, let me pray. Oh, let me pray. Prayer is a key. Hey, Jesus. Killing every day. We are killing ourselves. Every day na bum 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 bum. Every time na to 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 to. Oh, we don't tire. Father, fight for us. According to your word in Exodus 14:14, it says you will arise and fight for us, and we will all be so. Papa, give us victory. If you go for Munyenge, everybody then are for bush. Munyenge know the exist, oh, I can know. You go for Papa. Oh, houses they don't burn them down. We'll be render homeless. Hey, yeah. You go for a corner, they did program from house to house. Anybody that meet up a more, your name not die. Now wait till we do. Now wait till Bambenda them do. Now wait till we do. Now wait till Southwesterners do. Everybody don't run you because of wuru wuru. Everybody don't run you because of popo patata. So many don't go next time. Hey, yeah. So one day for refugee camp, for every nation for this world. When you go there, you go see there. So one day for street. So one day they sleep for motor for Nigeria. You go see them there. Papa God, oh when Gazume, yes so we're a wow. Oh, make we pray, oh make we pray, oh make we pray, oh make we pray, oh make we pray. Prayer is a key. Hey, Jesus. I'm a wabba menda, better for one sote. I am a yasa west, better for one baba. I'm a way pona, chill more chuban again. I'm a yana one woman there, before turning never jimashi. I even in work, papa, and never jim before tono. Masuna patiko, and need him, I make boy. Oh, yes, so we're a wow. Yes, so we're a wow. Kaya we're a wow, baba. We're a wow. Yes, so we're a wow. My village, my gym got southwest and northwest. Bufatona she, Bufaya dame. Yes, so we're a wow. Better than again. My year of one by King again. And when I King again, and when I survive. Yes, so Christo. Papa, we're a wow. We're a wow. Papa, we're a wow. All villages The northwest and southwest are damaged.
They are damaged.
Where we go run to? Papa help us, deliver us, Papa. Oh, give us victory. Victory is all we ask. Papa, give us victory. Oh, money for you some more. In a day, even chop for chop. In a day, better water for wash. In no even day at all. Even the one for drink. In a day, now woman they depart for inside bush. Now picking the day.
Hello. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, fellow Ambazonians. Welcome to today's edition of Amber Voice with Mr. Nsoh. I want to say a special thank you to those of you joining us from Ground Zero and those of you joining us right now from the Americas, from Asia, from Europe, and of course from Africa. I want to say you're welcome to this special edition of Amber Voice with Mr. Nsoh. Now today I have with me a very special guest on this show, and I can assure you one thing, that you're going to be very inspired. And just as we always do on our shows, the lines shall be opened for you to call in at any time of the show so as to post your questions. So this is Amber Voice, the voice of the nation. That particular show on this revolution where we welcome everyone's opinion. And as I said, we shall be very open to your questions. Please, I might not, as usual, be able to get every question or pick every telephone call. I know many Ambazonians out there will be very excited and anxious, of course, to ask their direct questions to our senior comrade, a father, someone I personally honor a lot, I respect a lot. Now, fellow Ambazonians, I must get this very straight here at the beginning of this show. You know, before I bring in my guest for today, I really want us to get some points straight. You know, despite the fact that most of us are all put in the same pot of soup, we must learn to recognize our differences. And when I talk of differences, I'm talking of course, not only educational differences, but also age-wise. I've in many instances seen in this revolution that individuals are so, they are so insolent when they are talking to or referring to elderly ones in the revolution. To me personally, I don't think that's a characteristic of inborn Ambazonian. We are people with a distinct culture. We were taught to respect elderly people. I mean, we can have differences in opinion. We can, differ in ideologies and disagree. But I think respect is something we must always teach our younger generation, and it's something we grew with. We are people of. I mean, we respect each other. We respect the elderly. It's rather sad to see that we've had some frivolous activists in this revolution who have failed to understand, or who never learned this basic, should I say, ingredients. They never got it in a trained home. I'm sorry to say that, but brothers and sisters, I just want to say welcome to Amber Voice. Please, if you are joining us by YouTube or Facebook, click on YouTube. You perhaps want to copy the link and share. But if you're watching us on Facebook, please do me a favor. Click on your share button. Click on your share button as usual. Let me get some greetings before I bring in our guest. Let me get some greetings. Let me see what is happening on Facebook. Please, as you join, click on the share button. Click on your share button. Invite someone to join this particular broadcast. And I want to assure you of one thing. We are not going to have Barrister Fu for that long because he's having a quite busy day today. So please, I won't waste our time. I'm not going to start turning around or looking around or wasting our time. So I'm just going to go straight to the point. So you want to do me a favor, please click on your share button as you join. Invite someone and tell someone we are having our Papa in the house. Now, fellow Ambazonians, without wasting your time, I can see, let me get some of the greetings I wanted to do. Let me see what is happening on Facebook. Jim says, Jam Jim says, share, share, share. Good evening, sir. Thank you. I can see Lady Titi. She's always there. Thank you so much, my able secretary. She says, good evening, comrade. Yes, I see Shedi. Shedi Dola say Ambazonian must be free. Welcome on board, wonderful comrade. Yes, thank you. And I see wonderful people joining. I see, oh, Mr. Chese says revolutionary greetings to you, sir. Thank you. Thank you for joining Amber Voice. Okay, beautiful people of the beloved nation. I can see the one and only Ambazonian Baba is on board. Welcome on board, sir. Great, great, great. Beautiful people of the beloved nation, Ambazonia. As you know, this is a one-on-one with Barrister Fu John Nsoh. He was, and we all know, he's not just a father in the revolution. I mean, let's give honor to where honor belongs. Not many of us will or could be bold enough in La République to speak and talk in favor of the Ambazonian people amidst all the chaos and heat and troubles that were happening in the time, I mean, in La République. And I must congratulate Barrister Fu for one thing. He's been very courageous. He's somebody who faces the facts. He doesn't chew his words. He calls a spade and not a spoon. And that's one thing I respect in him. And of course, let's be real, this is a man who have been a lawyer and a barrister for over 30 years. I mean, this is somebody who he started his career when some of us might not have, we're not even born. Some of you watching me right now. I mean, he started his career when some of you watching me were not even born. And this is someone who have dedicated his life in serving humanity, people. And I think he's a blessing to us, standing on our side in this revolution, standing with us. I mean, he's one of those who have been fighting and is still fighting. He's an elderly man. He's a father. I mean, he's a father to me. I mean, to many of you watching me, I think for that alone, we should grant him some respect and appreciate him that he is still fighting with us for that which perhaps we are the ones that are going to manage or really see, or our children even. You see, he's not that selfish to say, you know what, I don't live my life. I don't try my own, made them try what they want to. No, he is still standing. He is very zealous and still fighting. I want to welcome on board our senior comrade, a father, an elderly one, Barrister Fu. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Clovis. Thank you for inviting me to this marvelous show, a show that I have been watching, and it's quite an interesting show. I didn't for one moment thought that I would be on your show, but thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome, sir. You're welcome, sir. Actually, I'm honored to have you on this platform today because I have always admired you. Some years behind, we saw you on TV. We only saw you and we're like, oh, Barrister, so this bad, the talk was hard. You were the voice to some of us. And one of the inspirations of this program, Amber Voice, is that when I used to see you on TV, when you were articulating our cause, you represented us in La République du Cameroon. You were very bold. You spoke for us. I felt in me there were many people who wanted to get their voices heard. There were many people who want to talk about the things that concerns us, and that's one of the motivations for this Amber Voice platform. And I'm so glad to see that we can have you today on this platform. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. I'm honored because a lot of my friends back in Ground Zero, and even my wife, who is still back there in Douala, thought at the time that I was a madman, and that I was going to commit suicide. They said I was Kondenge was open for me at any time, and so on and so forth. But La République itself didn't quite know who I was. They didn't quite know where I was coming from and who was behind me. Clovis, you will not believe this. There was nobody behind me, but I did what I had to do because I was in this revolution since before 1992, and we started the All Anglophone Conference that finally organized the AAC 1 and 2. So I have seen it all, Clovis, but my activities in Ground Zero were quite. I didn't know how I survived it, the regime even put up people to assassinate me. A man like Franklin Jume and his team were ordered to take me and Karim down. You know Karim now,
Yes,
Karim
of
Abdul
course. Yeah.
Karim. Yeah. So I brought him into this whole thing, and we became like a father and a son. And I tell you, La Republique didn't know how to handle us, and they thought that the only way to get me is when I go out of the country. On my way back, they will try to kidnap me and go and kill me, but they didn't succeed.
But we are
And that's why
always
I'm here.
one thing I
That's
must
why I
also
can
say.
talk to you now.
Oh yes,
That's
of
why I
course,
can
and
talk to you now.
yes, of course. But and I must say we Ambazonians are blessed to have you in this revolution. Um, you know, there are, amongst others, there are some individuals in this revolution that sometimes I sit and think, and I say to myself, these people are graced with boldness. Many of us might underestimate this, but it's not that light to sit in La République, in the lion's den, and speak what you think is the truth, and stand for that which is the truth. By the way, I'll be coming to a particular point, but I really want to make mention of this fact. Barrister Fu, you were the lead counsel for the NERA 10 for our
Yeah,
incarcerated leaders in the Kuningi Maximum Prison. Am I right?
that's correct. That's correct.
Yes, and
I
uh,
was briefed. I was briefed by Dr. Sako himself, and I was given that appointment by Dr. Sako himself, and he ordered me to build a defense team, 15 from the northern zone, 15 from the southern zone, and a few of us from La Republique, which I did.
so if I'm getting you correct, when our leaders got missing, and we were in that despair. There was this ambiguity about their existence, if they were alive, if they were dead, if where are they? We even had some activists and of course some leaders came out and spoke affirmatively and said they had confirmed information that these leaders were dead. By the way, let me start there. How did you feel when you heard that our leaders, I mean, those who, I mean, they were captured? How did you feel? Because by then I don't think
I, 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 I tell you, Clovis, when I heard John Ba Okoro said that they were killed and maybe thrown in the sea, I was sick to my stomach. But a few days or a few weeks after, I first had a call from Chris Anu, and I kind of dismissed it because first of all I had not known Chris Anu, and until I had a call from Dr. Saku, and that they have a hunch that they are in Yaoundé. The leaders were in Yaoundé, and that I should take the lead to defend the leaders, and that I should constitute a powerful legal team. Before that, I think some other Ambazonians had briefed my senior colleague in Bamenda, Barrister Young, Paddy Young, but it didn't go very far. They were not even sure whether the people were in Yaoundé, what happened. But I finally got Dr. Sako to call me directly. And that is the first person I called to get on board was Barrister Paddy Young in Bamenda, because he had been consulted before on the same matter, but it didn't go very far. So I thought that it would prudent for me to get him. Little did we know, Clovis, that La Republique had carefully planted some their own kind of lawyers from Yaoundé, who are our people, Ambazonians, but not the type of Ambazonians that you and I are. And they were planted in there. I don't know what they were doing there, but the leaders got to know about it because they met them, and they said, we will not talk to them, we will not continue with this thing until we get our lawyers. And they were talking about us.
wow.
So that's how we got to it. And let me continue by telling you that Clovis, the day I entered said, were three of us, me leading, Barrister Padillon in Bamenda and Barrister Dong Christopher, whom I respect a lot. He is in Yaoundé. Three of us braved it. We went to set, and I told the colonel that I want to see Ayuk Tabe and 9 others that you are keeping. The man looked at me, looked at me, looked at me. They dismissed us and said, no, we cannot see them. We went that day empty-handed, came back the following day, and they still refused. We went back to see the commissaire de gouvernement, what you call the military prosecutor. He dismissed us, and I personally, I went to the director of military justice in the Ministry of Defense. The man looked at me and laughed. He said, "You want to see them? Who are you? They are not available." Man, I said, "Look, I'm a lawyer in this country, and anybody that is under detention, I have a right to see him."
That's right.
The man still dismissed me. So after all that struggle, finally, I don't know, maybe because I got a diplomat, I don't want to mention the name, to put some pressure, an ambassador, a foreign ambassador, to put some pressure. And one day I had a call that we can arrange to come and see them. So I got Barrister Young and Barrister Dong. 3 of us were still in Yaoundé. We went in there. Clovis, I have never been searched in my life. That kind of search, that kind of demeaning me, demeaning my personality and that of my colleagues. They search us right to our NOCs. I'm sorry to use this kind of language on television. The Betty boys who were the gendarmes that searched us did a terrible job on us. I could not even enter with a pen. They took my pen and gave me their own type of pen. They did the same thing for my colleagues. They searched 3 of us so well. And when we went in there, we met 10 of our leaders in very dirty tracksuits that they have been wearing for I don't know how long they were in there. They were, I think, more than 10 months without anybody having seen them. And we nearly were shedding tears, but they didn't know that me, I was crying inside my glasses. I mean, I couldn't take it. I couldn't just imagine. I couldn't just imagine how they would lock people incommunicado for more than 10 months. When the law allows you not more than 48 hours. I just could not imagine. But we met with them, we had a good time.
Barrister, there was something I want to get here. There was something I want to get from this story. I am visualizing the story, and I like the lane through which you are taking us right now, because these are information that we never had. Now, we all can journey with you. Just listening to you talking, I can journey with you through those doors, through those sections, into those cells where you met our incarcerated leaders.
Yes.
And now, what I'm thinking in my mind, now let's get this straight here. We had an instance where Ambazonians were totally confused. We never knew what happened. We never knew if our leaders were alive, if they were dead. Then, even in that state, one thing I want to congratulate you and the interim government, of course, is that they never gave up. Against all odds, they believed in justice. They believed that, because you just made a statement and said it was Dr. Sako who called you to develop a team. 15 lawyers from the northern zone and 15 from the southern zone of Ambazonia to be in that defense-led team.
Yes.
And it shows to me that at least the interim government never gave up on these people, not knowing their whereabouts. But now, this was the first time anybody ever met these guys, met our leaders in jail. After they were held incommunicado for 10 months, you said, of course, which is true. We can all confirm that. Now, when you met them in there, when you met with them in that jail, I mean, how was that? Because I'm not sure some of them knew you. I'm not sure some of them were acquainted with who you are.
Let me tell you those who knew me. Fongalanfo is our SCNC leader. I had known him. We have been in this struggle for a very long time. So that's the first person that made me cry when I saw him. I had seen Patasang just on passing somewhere in Bamenda, but I've never actually been close to him. But Pa Fongalanfo is somebody that we had known ourselves for quite some time because we're all in the struggle. Let me tell you, I was the first, Clovis, after that meeting, after that historic meeting of the leaders in jail. You know me, I went down to Douala, and the first journalist who met me was the young English-speaking journalist from I think it's from Akko. Akko is one of those very remote subdivisions in Donga and Manton. So this young man said, Pa, I must take you to the studio. I was just coming in from Yaoundé and went to the studio, and that is when I announced to the world that I have seen them. They are alive. I think that video went viral around the world. Yes.
Yes, we have that in record.
There might have been some relatives who had seen Pa Fongalanfo and others. I'm not sure. I'm talking about the first lawyer to have met them and said something. Those lawyers that were planted by La Republique, they were warned not to open their mouths. So I was the one who announced it, and that is when I invited the Cameroon Secret Service behind me throughout the more than 10 months that I was lead counsel. Mm-hmm. I tell you, it was quite an emotional meeting, and I was so delighted to see that some of that they were alive, because John Baakoro had met all of us, including me here. I was so shocked. In fact, for 1 week I couldn't have sound sleep because I heard that John Baakoro announced that these people have died and they have been thrown in the sea. I just couldn't handle it. But when I saw them, and when I got to Douala, I was all smiling. And now, the journalist was asking me why I was smiling. I said, well, you will never know.
Papa, I want to ask you a question before we continue. I want to ask you a question that I just wanted to answer directly. When exactly did Dr. Sako and the interim government contact you? Did they contact you after? Because, I mean, as I said, we never knew if they were alive. And we had this announcement from John Baakoro. Now, John Baakoro is that kind of a person who always claims that he has a credible source of information. So, you said you were discouraged when you heard that we all were in pain and agony. I myself, I mean, most of us here in Europe, believe me, we had visited embassies, centers, protesting for international pressure to be mounted upon La Republique for us to at least know what had happened to our leaders. Now, I want to picture this because I think many Ambazonians want to know. Now, we are having a situation where we had an announcement that our leaders were dead. And then you said Dr. Sako called you to develop a team of leaders or of lawyers. Now, with the information that our leaders were dead, yet Dr. Sako and the interim government are still channeling you to mount up a team. What was that for? That, I mean, come on. In somebody's mind, it will be sounding like, that's stupid. But what do you think? I mean, how did that contribute to your own courage building in taking this case forward?
Let me tell you, I believe I have never met Dr. Sako. I've never met Chris Anu. I've never met any of the leaders abroad. But let me tell you, I had been on television, and the whole world, all our people in America here were seeing me, and in Europe and everywhere. So it is through my television appearances, I suspect that Dr. Sako said, we have to hand this matter to this barrister. That's the only way I can say, because he didn't know me, I didn't know him.
I'm going to bring Dr. Sako on this platform to answer some of those questions for himself. But now, This is you. This is you. This is you now. Because by the way, when you accepted the charge that you are building up these leaders, what was the purpose for? Was it to investigate the matter about the abduction of our leaders, or to defend them at that particular period?
No. First of all, the idea I suspect was to find out whether those people, when our leaders were alive, whether they are actually in Yaoundé.
Yeah.
Because you know, Chris Anu went to
To Nigeria.
Abuja.
Yes.
Yes, to Nigeria. I saw that on television. I saw him sitting having a press conference with Oru, Barrister Oru. I saw him already in Nigeria. So when they left in that plane, in that I don't know what kind of plane that carried them, but they described to me that they were chained like cargo in a military plane. When they left, nobody knew where they were because they were incommunicado for more than 10 months.
That's true.
You see, Dr. Sako, I suspect he wanted to be for us, for me.
He wanted to go to the root of the matter. He wanted to
go to the root of the matter to find out whether they are alive first. And secondly, when I announced to him that they are alive, that I announced on television, even before I talked to him, I announced on television that I saw them. That's when he said, your team should now constitute the defense and get to the bottom of it.
Wow.
So it didn't take long for us to develop a strategy. I developed a strategy and I informed my colleagues that there is a procedure called the habeas corpus. And even before that, we have been talking to one Timothy Mbesai, who was Dr. Sako's legal advisor in the interim government. And when I developed that procedure of habeas corpus, I informed him that that is the procedure I want us to file and ask for funding. Hey, this man gave me all the reasons why that procedure is unimportant. We should go and wait till they take them to the military court and so on and so forth. So for over 3 weeks, we were debating with this man. He would not even want to let us mention anything about habeas corpus because it was unimportant. So fortunately for us, we had our senior colleague, Barrister Bobka, and I got hold of him because he was in the United States. I got hold of him and said, my dear colleague, this is what is happening. He now told me immediately that don't worry, I'm going to search for some money and send so that you people should file. And we got the first 500,000 that we used to file and also to bring lawyers to be holding a trial conference to prepare for the habeas corpus. But the money was not enough because, lawyers were all interested in the matter. A celebrated case like that case made history in Cameroon. And every lawyer wanted to be part of history.
Yes.
Yes. So, but lawyers were coming, and the 35 lawyers that we had, which list I forwarded to the interim government, they were coming every time for that habeas corpus, and we needed to pay their hotel bills. We needed to give them money for food. We needed to do that. So Barrister Bobka sent again. I think I didn't see the money, but it came to me from Barrister Young in Bamenda, and I think it was 1 million francs, and asked that 150% be given to his office, and we should take 850 and add to what he had already sent. I honestly believe that, and I want to take this opportunity to continue to thank him, because if not of him, we would not have filed that procedure. Not because Dr. Sako refused, but because the legal advisor in his office never told him about that procedure. He was dealing with us and dismissing us outright.
Wow.
So how did I get to know that, Clovis? Let me clear that up. I traveled to the United States to meet that person, Dr. Sako. And when I met him, he took me to a hotel in a lobby, and I asked him, "Why have you abandoned the defense of Ayuk Tabe and 9 others?" The man carried his hands and put on his head and said, "What? How can you say that, barrister?" I said, "No, because we wanted to file a procedure and you refused to send us money." He said, "Besa told me that procedure is not important." I said, "What? He talked to you about it? At least you would have called me." He said, "Well, it is his right-hand legal man." So, and that is when Dr. Sako immediately ordered, and I left the United States with some money, went back, and we lawyers,
Yeah.
when money has been given to you for lawyers, you cannot touch a penny because they will cut your neck. I'm telling you. I got there. That's when all the lawyers knew that we are now covered. We can go to Yaoundé. We can sleep in a hotel, even though we didn't have enough to sleep in a better hotel. But at least we could go to Yaoundé and do this famous case.
Yes, because the
So,
financial
yes,
backing was now there.
yeah, it was not there.
Now, but there was
Not
something.
quite. It wasn't quite enough, but it was there.
There was something that draws my attention here, because now, you talked about someone, I've forgotten the name, the person that you were communicating with, who was the legal advisor to the interim government. Now, what I want to say is, Ambazonians, we don't need to forget that Dr. Sako was the acting president. He just came into power. By the way, before he even came into power, I now understand why Barrister Bobga was more active, because he had led the interim government for I think for 4 months. After Sisiko, they disappeared. After we never knew
I
their
think it was
whereabouts.
not up to 4 months, about 3 months.
For about 3 months. Thank you. Barrister Bobga was in charge for a short period of time before Dr. Sako came in. And when he came in, he was the acting president. Listen, Pa, the worst thing I want to do in my life is to take that position and responsibility that Dr. Sako took at that particular time. Because that's one of the, when La République was roving around like a wounded lion, looking for who to devour, they just planned a coup that arrested our leaders. And that's why I can understand when Barrister Babga said he is not willing to take that responsibility. But I just wanted to make this point clear, fellow Ambazonians. I think Dr. Sako coming into the office, I think we'll have him answer these questions for himself. We are going to have him here. But what I can understand is he was an acting president, and if the communication was not really flowing from the legal advisor who was in communication with you guys and with the interim government, I don't know how the whole thing was moving, but we'll have them come on this platform and answer those questions for us. But you want to say something to that? I see you.
Yes, and I wouldn't. I don't know what was going on in his office, but I think he relied, and rightly so. He had to rely on his legal advisor. There is one person that you must rely on, and that's your lawyer. So, and if you are dealing with lawyers, and your lawyer in the house saying no, that procedure is not important. You have to listen to him. But I'm not saying if I had opportunity to talk to Dr. Sako on that issue, I would have told him that it is critically important for us to file, because we made history when we filed that procedure, Clovis,
Yes.
because that procedure pushed La République, because they knew that this obscure lawyer from Douala is going to put, and his mouth is very big on television, is going to put this country in chaos if we don't remove those people quickly and charge them.
Okay,
you will not believe that it was because of that procedure that they charged them and removed them and sent them to Kondenge. That's how they had their freedom. Well, I wouldn't say freedom. That's how they had the opportunity.
They came out from being incommunicado.
Came out from this dungeon.
Yes.
That place is very frightful. That place is very, very frightful. They came out of there, and then the first day that they came for the hearing, let me tell you how that hearing went. I don't know what I don't want to be taking most of your time, but
no, Pa, you can talk. You can talk.
When we filed at the High Court, those 3 lawyers that had been there put by the state, we did one thing that I can congratulate the 3 of us. We included them in that procedure. You know what? They went behind and filed a discontinuance of that procedure removing their names and thinking that the fire will fall on his face. I'm telling you, and you know when we found out? The morning of the hearing, the first hearing in the High Court. So when we got to the hearing, the judge, who was a lady, a Betty lady, he said, cette histoire-là était ça n'existe plus. I said, no. There were 6 lawyers who signed. A lawyer has a right to check out of a case at any time. We are 3 of us who are still in that case. You must open that file. That's when she took the file and said, okay, let's hear. What? I said, we cannot hear this case until the leaders are before you. That is the procedure, Clovis. Habeas corpus, bring the body, produce the body. And the body are who? Those people.
That's right.
She took 1 day and dismissed that case in front of us. Well, you know me now, I don't give up.
I like your positive stubbornness, Pa. I love your positive stubbornness.
I told my colleagues, we have to go on appeal in this Fundi. This Yaoundé, I hate Yaoundé, but I'm going to be here till we file this thing. We sat down, 3 of us, and invited some other lawyers. We drafted the habeas corpus writ.
Okay, Barrister Fru.
I know.
We are having...
Hold on. We drafted the appeal on that writ. We drafted the appeal and we filed it, and that is where it became interesting. When it got to the Court of Appeal, our appearance, more than about 20-something lawyers, going to 30, frightened the judge. The judge said, I told the judge that this procedure, we must bring out the accused persons. They must be before you, otherwise we will not open our mouth. We'll open our mouth, meaning that we are representing who here. They gave the floor to the prosecution. The prosecution agreed with us that they have to extract them. So they served the colonel to bring them. He didn't come for the next hearing. They served again. He didn't come. And then when we came for the hearing, as we were entering in there, I had taken a copy of that summon from the prosecutor and put it on social media. That is why you see this social media like this is also good and is also bad. I flushed it around the world, and that colonel, I don't know whether the powers that be saw it and called him and said, but what is wrong with you? As we sat in that chambers, he came in and said, he just came, and then he just said, c'est vous qu'on attendait. He came and told the judge that I just saw this in social media. I was not served. The prosecutor just told him, I served you in your office. Right in front, right in his face, he said, I served you in your office. You cannot tell me that you didn't receive it. Then he pleaded with the judge that the next hearing will bring them. You will not believe that when we heard that, the whole population of Yaoundé, at least Ambazonians in Yaoundé, they filled that court that day. The place was full. And the military people came with a battalion of people making sure that nobody took pictures. And the leaders were brought for the first time. They came out into Yaoundé town and came to the High Court. I mean, to the Court of Appeal. Yes.
Since they were arrested in Nigeria on the 5th of January. So this is the first opportunity for them to tell their story to a court. That's it.
It means that today is one of the best sessions.
It is the best day of my life as a lawyer. It's the best day for them as accused persons to be heard before the Court of Appeal of the Central Province.
So, Pa, I think I just played an image of...
Yes, that's what happened. So
Wow.
that day was a red letter day. But nobody took pictures. But we didn't know that one of the young lawyers that I brought in, a young lady from Boya, came in with a hidden camera and took only the back of Barrister Yambe, and Siseko was right in front, so they couldn't take pictures. But they took a few that were visible. Some pictures came out. That is the first time, and the whole Cameroon was shaken that these people finally, that lawyer said he saw them, he was speaking the truth.
Yes.
And the press, I can tell you, the whole Cameroon press was mobilized.
Wow.
So
I think
that
we
is
can.
how it went, Clovis.
Yes, yes, sir. I think we are all witnesses to that. We experienced that live. Most of us were we watched that happen and we saw the local medias reporting on that. Now, Barrister Fu, I want us to continue on this journey because we still have some key points to touch today. And
Sure.
now, here you are. You've been able to see the leaders. You've been able to meet them. You've been able to build up a legal team to represent them. Now, I know that there are two things you need to make clear to Ambazonian people. Something happened in Nigeria, and as a matter of fact, you went to Nigeria.
Yes, I did.
You walked.
I
You
went to
walked.
Nigeria 3 times.
You went to Nigeria 3 times. We are going to come into that because I want you to explain to us. But before we come into that, we are having a situation where our leaders were they were captured, they were abducted. Let me use the right term here. They were abducted, and now they are here in La République du Cameroun. These are your clients. You spoke with them. Did they ever, at any time, tell you what the purpose of the meeting was in Nara, where they were abducted? Did they actually? Did they tell you? Did they confide in you? You must not tell us what they said, but did they confide in you? Did you ask? How was it like? Because I think most of us Ambazonians till date, we still really want to know what took them to Nigeria that led to their arrest. Should I say abduction? On the other hand, we have had, I think, actually, I personally think, if it's no more a secret because we've had Sisiko said to us, Ambazonians, he has not tell us why he was arrested, but he said he had told the interim government, he had told Dr. Saku, he has told a lot of people to tell the Ambazonian people. I'm wondering, why is he telling other people to tell us? Did he tell you? Is it, I don't know. We Ambazonians, we want to know why did they gather there?
You know, he also said that he told me, Clovis, let me tell you, I have no interest in lying to anybody. All the months, about more than 10 months that I was his counsel, I asked him severally, what was the reason for meeting in a high-profile hotel, a Naira hotel in Nigeria? The only answer I got was, it's not important. How does that help our cause now? Every time I ask him, he said it's not important. But even if he told me what the reason was, I will not tell you because I am called upon to protect the confidentiality of my client. So he said it's not important. So I didn't force it. For many times that I asked, he told me that it was not important. So he didn't tell me anything. But let me tell you, Clovis, for the 3 times that I went to Nigeria, one of the times, in fact, I think it was the last time, 2 lawyers took me out for lunch, and I said, "Now, when I tell me what happened for Yana, what went on here? What is? I mean, we are colleagues. No, let me in. What is going on here? I mean, our people just came into your country. You people just arrested them, kidnapped them, locked them for 2 weeks, and then one of them asked me, Oga, you do case, you don't know what the way your people how did they what happened? I said, how? I don't know. I'm telling you for the gospel truth that I don't know why they were here. What happened? And even then, Clovis, I'm not going to tell you what those lawyers told me.
Ah, now,
I am,
I mean,
I am not. I'll be violating important rules of procedure, important ethical rules. I will not tell you what those lawyers told me, but I kept. That is why when I came here to announce that my client was compromised, I also said let him tell the Ambazonians what they were doing in Naira Hotel.
Barrister
So
Fu, we are coming to that. Just like many other Ambazonians watching us right now, you saw my eyes going fatter and fatter because I was anxious to get a word from your mouth, to get at least a sentence. My anticipations were high.
what those lawyers told me, I am not going to tell you, Clovis. I'm sorry.
Okay, sir. I can respect that, and I think Ambazonians can bear with me that, of course, you have a certain degree of dignity and you have to protect. I mean, you sworn to that to protect the
Yes.
confidentiality of your clients, and we can respect that at this juncture. But I want us to continue. Now, we are here. We are having these people. When you went to Nigeria, how did you work together with the interim government to influence the case of the Ambazonian people or of the incarcerated Ambazonian leaders in Nigeria? What was your job? Why did you go there?
No, we went to Nigeria to back up our colleagues in Nigeria who had filed a case against the Nigerian government. One of the most prominent lawyers in Nigeria, Femi Falana, that is the prominent human rights lawyer in Lagos. He filed that case in the Abuja High Court, and of course he was working with another lawyer called Barrister Oru, and so they were the ones who had filed the matter. But the principal lawyer who filed that matter is Femi Falana, and they filed a case against the Nigerian government, and we went there to give them a backing. And so at the end of it, you know that they got a judgment. We got a judgment against Nigerian government. You must have known. You must have read that.
Yes, of course.
Yes,
Yeah.
we
But
got
before
judgment against. So that shows you the difference between the two countries.
countries, yeah.
One, a country that respects the rule of law, and another, a country of gangsters.
You can say that
So
again and you can say it louder. Barrister Fu, before we have a short musical break and we come up to the part B, which is going to be the most interesting part in this discussion, I want to ask you of something. I know because of time we might have a part two of this show. Now, but I want to ask you
yes,
something.
sure. You
There,
can go up to 1.5 hours.
thank you, sir. Now, I want to ask you something, sir. The the um the defense team, the team of lawyers in Nigeria who went out there carrying
There were
out
only
this
two.
case. There were only two of them.
Mhm.
Okay. Were they
Yes.
also who sponsored them? How did it come about?
No, no,
I
no.
mean,
They were being paid directly by the interim government. We had nothing to do with it. They were being
okay,
paid
that's what I
directly.
wanted to get. That's
The
exactly what
interim
I wanted to
government
get.
paid them, and paid them well. They paid them well.
So the interim government under the acting leadership of His Excellency Dr. Samuel Saki Ekomi was the one who, I mean, like went out and carried this tax together with these lawyers to put pressure on the Nigerian government.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes,
In seek for
yes.
justice for our
They were
leaders.
paid. They were very well paid by the interim government. And I tell you, we were not charging a fee. They were just paying us what they call logistics,
Hmm.
just to let us get to Yaoundé, just to let us sleep and at least eat, even if it's just one meal a day. But Nigerian lawyers, they know they don't work for free, so they were properly paid. I can assure you that by the interim government led by Dr. Saku.
Thank you so much for that. Please, we are coming back to you, Barrister Fro. Now, fellow Ambazonians, dear friends and fans of Mr. Nanchop, welcome to today's edition of Amber Voice with Mr. Nanchop. Now, brothers and sisters, this is an intensive discussion, and we have a lot of things we still want to get from our barrister as someone who experienced the things firsthand. He was there live. Some of us never had opportunities too, but he was there. He dealt with a lot of people. He's one of those who've seen our leaders, um, um, in La République du Cameroun. I mean, after they were abducted, he had the opportunity to talk to them, to feel them, to discuss with them. We want to have a feel of that. We want to know some things. I'm anxious. I think you too are. So please look on the screen. You have the number of Amber Voice on the screen. You may want to send us some of your questions through WhatsApp. You may want to call at any particular time when I'll open the lines for calling to ask some questions. But furthermore, you watching us right now on Facebook, why don't you just click on the share button? Click on the share button. Invite someone to join this special live podcast. Invite someone to join this show. We want to share. We all want to get more information about this. I'm anxious. I don't know about you. But now I'm going to call back our father in the house, Barrister Fru John Nsoh. Welcome, sir.
Yeah.
Now,
Thank you.
Pa Fru, let's talk about your work together with the Naira 10. Now
Yes.
we have a point where you are working with them, you are representing them as their defense lead with other lawyers. Of course, you guys are representing them, you are going with them. I believe you had times where you counseled them, you gave them advices, they opened up and told you some certain things. How was your relationship like with them? How was the time you were working with them? Did La République grant you easy access to them? How was the whole thing? How was your atmosphere? How was the whole atmosphere? Did you have only access to one of them or to all of them? Could you talk to all of them at any time of your desire? I mean, how was the whole thing like?
Let me tell you how it functioned. We had regular meetings with them, all the 10 of them, in a hall in prison. But before we got there, before we could even see them, we went through hell with the so-called military prosecutor. He blocked all opportunities for us to go to prison easily to see them. But at least, finally, he allowed only those of us who were briefed to be seeing them, because the multitude of lawyers that were working with us, they were not allowed to go to enter the prison to see, unless you bring a letter saying that you have been briefed by him. And if you lie, then you know what you're doing to yourself. So we finally got access to them, and we're meeting with them. Lawyers who come from Bamenda, from Victoria, Boya, and Kumba, and we will meet with them and have what you call a pre-trial conference with them, and then we ourselves, as lawyers, to talk about the law and the procedure and the strategy. We had to meet every night that we were in Yaoundé, for that matter, in Barrister Ndong's office. And I presided over that meeting, and I made sure that every lawyer in there, I don't care how loud your mouth is, you have to shut it up when you get out there. What we discuss there should never be heard anywhere. And I made sure that everybody behaved himself. There were a few loudmouth lawyers, but we made sure that we tamed them. Me and Barrister Young, who was later on made my assistant by Suseko. But the interim government knew only me. So I made sure that I managed all that. And the procedure we put up was so solid that the La République did not know what else to do with me. Their target was me. I later on found out that their target was me. I was a terrible obstacle for them to do what they had to do. So
I can confirm that.
We had a very cordial working relationship with the leaders. We worked so well until it got sour somewhere along the line, because we did not know what was cooking in the night. So I only discovered it in my bed.
Barrister Fui, I'm coming to that because I think now we are getting to the most interesting part of these discussions because now
Yes.
now we are here. I'm sojourning with you through this lane of the defense and communication with our leaders. Now we are right here at this position where they are in the hands of La Republique. They have a defense team. You guys are talking for them. You are talking with them. And of course, we are not ignorant of the devices of the enemy. We know that La Republique, too, they were masterminding something under the influence of France somehow. I believe that. Now, here we are. Of course, you just made a statement a few moments ago. You said that you were the target of La Republique.
Yes.
We believe that because we also heard of the rumor that they targeted you to kill you. I mean, we heard of you were
Yes.
on your way to
Yes.
Cameroon, and can you just
Yes.
throw a statement or two on that?
Yes. When I came and made the statement that I made here, I came to give a report to those who briefed me, to my employers, the interim government. Then on my way back, a policeman had been detailed all the way from Cameroon. We were jumping the gun though, because we need to know how it got to that level.
That's true.
So may I reserve that, and we'll come back to it.
Yes, definitely, definitely. So now
Yes.
we are
Yes.
here, Barrister Fu, and your relationship you've described was wonderful with your clients. You had the support. By the way,
We were working very well together.
yes.
The team was the legal team was very attentive to details, and the law we discuss the law even up to midnight. We make sure that we develop strategies. We did the drafting. We had a team of lawyers doing drafting. There were those who were doing communication. There were those who I divided the thing into segments so that people should be busy.
Mm-hmm.
And we put up a defense in that military court that La Republic has never seen.
Wow.
We raised one objection to the other. We had three main objections to raise: that of citizenship, that of the competence of that court, and the fact that they violated an international convention, international law, by going to kidnap people from Nigeria who were refugees in Nigeria. Some were already refugees. Some were some already had asylum. So we raised all that, and we kept that court spellbound. And one of the judges was overwhelmed, and the power that be had to remove him from there and transfer him to Boya, and brought a maverick, some young maverick from Bamenda who has never sat on the bench. He was a military prosecutor. He has never sat on the bench. He came there and wanted to show me that he knew more than us. We told him that, listen, this is the court. We will play by the rules that are laid down for everybody. And I did not know what was cooking, Clovis, until bam, one night. And before I went to bed, I always looked at social media. One night, I was getting ready to go to bed, and I wanted to look at my social media to see what was there, since I was also on television and everywhere about our struggle. As I opened the first thing I saw was a letter written by President Seseko Ayuktabe dissolving the interim government. And at the side of it, that same page, I saw a disclaimer. Some guy, I don't know whether it's I'm suspecting that as later on found out it was a Bayanga guy, had written a disclaimer and forged Seseko's signature. These two documents, I saw them. And let me tell you, Clovis, I was sick to my stomach. I said, this cannot be my client. No! Mr. Ayuktabe will not do this. I told myself that it is a bad dream. It's not him. All of a sudden, 4 days after, I was in Douala, 4 days after, Paul Nilon got into the show. Paul Nilon called me and put me on an interview
Yes.
about that letter. I told Paul outrightly, I have just seen it just like you. I'm not going to comment on a letter I know nothing about. Until I see my client, I'm not going to comment on a letter that I know nothing about. I did not know that I was building my grave. So, 1 week after Mr. Ayuk Tabe summoned me and my assistant, two of us, to come and meet them. Ongoing, I took a young lawyer who was always driving me around Yaoundé, Barrister Victor Ndita. He drove the two of us. We went to prison. Of course, this time, we could enter prison anytime to see them during working time. So I went there. My God, we had the normal chatting, the normal civilities, and so on and so forth. And then we went now to the meeting. Mr. Ayuk Tabe, who always presides over the meeting, because he claimed, I don't know. He not that he's claimed, he was the president at the time. He said, I am the president, I preside over these meetings. And he was right, because he was at that time the president. So he started and said, after prayer and so on and so on, he said, Barrister Fru, we call this meeting because you went on television and said that you knew nothing about the letter that I wrote, and that you made statements to the effect that you knew nothing about, and instead of defending us or defending me, you claim that you knew nothing about it. I said, yes, Mr. Ayuk Tabe, I did not know. Were you the one who wrote that letter? Because there was also a disclaimer at the corner. He said, yes, forget about the disclaimer, that's fake. I wrote that letter, and that is a decision that I took. And I expect everybody to respect that decision. The discussions kept going. I was quiet listening. Then he made a statement that, Barrister Fru, you should know one thing. You are not my lawyer. Just listen. You are not my lawyer. You are not my government's lawyer. But you are the lawyer and lead counsel for the Naira 10.
A minute, sir. This is an interesting part in this discussion.
Yes.
I want to get you word for word. You are not my lawyer.
Yes.
I'm quoting Ayuk Tabe in quote. You are not
Yes.
my lawyer. You are not my government's lawyer. What did he mean by my government's lawyer? Did you understand what he tried to say? What he was trying to say?
Well, I didn't quite follow. It's only there that it dawned on me that he had dissolved the interim government that was out there, and that's when it dawned on me, because I wasn't sure of the veracity of that letter that I saw in my bed. That is when it dawned on me, and he said, "You are only the lawyer for Naira 10." In my mind, I posed the question: are you not the leader of the Naira 10? I didn't ask him that.
Mm-hmm.
Then all of a sudden, one Professor Awasum. These are people I've met as accused persons. I've never known him before. We happened to come from the same subdivision, and there was another young doctor there, Dr. Ndeche, who is also a man like me. So that was the first time I met them. This young man stood up and told me that I were very disappointed in you. You is our lead lawyer, and they ask you a question about a document we have written, and you disown it. You didn't even take time to defend us.
No.
You disown it on national television, and that's when it sparked a conflict between him and Patasang. Patasang said, look, Awasum, you are a blackmailer. That's the word he used. Both of them, the whole place was, there was going to be some kind of a fight, but they are civilized people. They didn't fight, but they
Barrister
fought.
Fru, Barrister Fru, we talk for pidgin say super is sweet with the chop and small small.
Yes,
Right now, this is an interesting part in this discussion that I really want us to get these details deeply. Now, here we are. By the way, let me play that short clip. Let me play the short clip of where you made that statement. Let me put it on the screen.
All Ambazonians listening to us and to wish everybody well. I am in America running for two reasons. Running away from being assassinated by the CPDM talks that have been set up to kill me and Karim, and also to do some work here in the United States. That's why I'm here. And I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome all Ambazonians listening to us and to thank them for their time. And of course, not only Ambazonians and the larger public, for those who are listening to us, I thank you for being part of this program.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
It's really an honor for me to host you again, and thank you for your patience. Now, we'll still try to talk about, we started, we did not complete, so I will still ask you some of these questions again. That what will you tell us? What is your personal evaluation? We know developments. So
everybody has a goal. That goal is to get to Boya. That goal is to achieve our independence. There is no secondary goal.
Okay, I'll just.
Okay, hello, Barrister Fru. For some reason we cannot get the clip. I just wanted us to get that particular point where Paul Nilong asked you about the letter, and I wanted Ambazonians to get your response. Now, literally, you said to the Ambazonian people that you were not aware of that letter that came from your clients, and you would not like to make comments on it because you have not had prior consultations with your clients.
Yes, correct.
I just hope I can get that back at any time of this discussion to put it on the screen. But now, I'm having an instance here because I think most of us want to understand this. Your clients, the Naira 10, whom you are representing, you are standing for, you are the defense lead for them. You are in your house and suddenly you see a note from them. Let me say from, because I mean, you saw a note from them and you are like,
it's not from them. It was signed by Siseko Ayuktabe. I don't know whether all of them signed it. I cannot make that. I cannot make that assertion. But I know that it was him. It was Ayuktabe who signed the letter, and I did not believe that that letter was written by him, because at the corner there was a disclaimer, and not only that, I had worked with him, and he did not tell me anything about a letter. He did not consult me about a letter. You know, when you are in prison and you have a lawyer defending you, before you send out any document, you must let him see it, because it can hurt you as well as it can help you. So I didn't see it, and he informed me in that meeting that I don't have a right, because I'm not his lawyer. I'm not his government's lawyer. I'm only the lawyer and lead counsel for Naira 10. And of course, I've just narrated what happened, the incident in that meeting. And I stood up, immediately finished ranting. I stood up and I was about to go me. Because he has dismissed me, that is the way I took it as a lawyer. When a client tells you that you are not his lawyer, you are not his government's lawyer, the rest is unimportant. He has already informed you that you are no longer needed in that defense. So I took my books and got up. As I was trying to get through the door, Bamfo Ngalanfo stood up and held me and brought me back. And I sat there and just listened to all the ranting and all the infighting and so on. In fact, it looks like they were broken into camps. about that letter. So I left. As I went out, bound for Ngalafo, whom I respect, and I continue to respect him even up to now, in spite of the mistakes that he has done. Because he did not act as a leader while they were in detention. But I cannot take that respect that I have for him for a joke. He followed me and told me, John, they are talking about this letter like this. I've not seen it though. I said, well, Pa, go and ask the president. So I went out, I entered the car and I drove off. When I got to my hotel room, I told myself I'm not leaving this Yaoundé until I find out what is going on.
We are coming to that because that's the next step of. But there is something that is still hurting me. There's something I want to get from this discussion. Now, you earlier said when you got up, one of them said to you that he is disappointed in you that you did not.
No, I was still sitting when Awasum stood up and said he's disappointed in me because I saw a letter about them, and instead of defending the letter on television, I claimed that I did not know. I said I don't claim. I shouted. I said I don't claim. Did you show me? I don't know anything about that letter. Did I know anything? Did you confide in you? You didn't confide in me before sending out the letter. I only saw it in the night when I was going to bed. And I didn't believe that it was the president who wrote it. Now I know better. Then I got up and I was about to go. Of course, Gongalampo blocked me. And we sat there. And after that, I left. And I spent a week in Yaoundé, people not knowing that I was in Yaoundé, Clovis. I made sure that nobody knew, even my colleagues, even the Tang and the Ndong and others, they thought I had gone back to Douala, but I was in Yaoundé doing my own kind of investigation.
I can imagine. I mean, putting myself in your shoes, sir, I will feel disappointed. I will feel somehow because, I mean, I'm not a lawyer by profession, but I think there's been a kind of confidence you've built together on these people or with these people in the months. Yes. I mean, you've been their representative for 10 months and above.
No, Clovis, let me not cut you short. I felt sick. I felt slighted. I have never been humiliated in this profession for my whole life. A client has never told me what Ayuk Tabe told me. Let's be frank here. After all the work and all the confidence that we have and so on and all what we have been putting in, before I left that defense, Clovis, the court was unable to arraign, not to talk of trial, arraign the leaders. They were never arraigned because of the procedure, the objections we kept raising. I made sure that we kept the court fair bound. And of course, court decorum. I made sure that every lawyer respected the court. There was no unnecessary noise. Even though we were about 100 lawyers, I made sure that everybody behaved himself. And I tell you, the press was outside dying. Every time we finished, I had to give a press briefing. You saw all the series of press briefings that I gave. You see, the La Republique was on its toes. They didn't know what to do with me. They didn't know what to do with me on my outings on television. Now they don't know what to do with me as a lead counsel for Ayuk Tabe. So for Mr. Ayuk Tabe to tell me that afternoon, Clovis, I did not eat the whole night. I cannot lie to you that I slept, but I changed hotel, this time from my pocket. I went to a better hotel where I will see nobody, hear nobody, and I went to work. You know, I went to school in Sacred Heart College, Mancon. And there are a lot of schoolmates.
Pa, we are coming to that. Pa, we are coming to that. I still want us to get this feeling. There is one question that I think it would be very legitimate for me to ask at this juncture. Did you at any time prior to this incident have any disagreement, arguments with your clients? Was there any?
No. Oh Oh no, he was very cooperative. I mean, we worked like a team, Clovis. That's the shocking part of this whole thing. We worked like a team. He was very, very good. And even though domineering, showing his authority as president, which I cannot fault him for that. But we were very, very, I mean, all the 10 of them they would ask questions, they would put us spellbound, they would do everything. Even when we ran short of money, they will encourage us, they would try to get us money. He reduced our stipends, the logistic that we had. We didn't complain, and we kept working with him. It came to me as a shock. It came to me as a shock, and I was, in fact, if I didn't have a strong heart, I might have gotten into a crisis. But I stayed in Yaoundé for 1 week. I paid my hotel bill for 1 week, and I went to work. This is very important. Just listen to me. I went to work, and I started digging. I went and met one of our senior people from Sacred Heart who was very, very big in the presidency. And he gave me the impression that he knew a lot of what was happening. So I took an appointment with him. I'm not going to tell you where we went, but in the outskirts of Yaoundé, where he fed me and did everything, we had a nice discussion. And that's when I knew what was actually cooking. Mr. Ayuk Tabe had been conversing on the phone. I had warned him about the phone. That in prison, that they call Kondenge Principal, it's a former political prison that Ahijo built, and there are listening devices all over the place. Anything you say in that prison or do, you are being recorded. He said, no, he said, no, I always talk on Skype. It's unimportant. They will not know what is going on. So, he had been talking to Ayolo Mbondo. And from Ayolo Mbondo, he had been talking to the cabal in South Africa. Before arriving at writing that letter, I found out that what was going on behind the scene, it started a long time before I knew it. I got this information from the presidency, from my sources in the presidency. And he had been talking with them, and that is the result. The result being that letter dissolving the interim government. I'm not going to say much about that. As I said on television, I continue to maintain that I'm not going to explain what went on. But I know that they had been talking. And that is why on television here in America, I did tell the world that Mr. Ayuk Tabe has only two things to do. Tell Ambazonians what you were discussing with the Ayolo Mbondo, and also tell Ambazonians what you guys were doing in Naira Hotel. That is what I said when I said, it was from there that I concluded that my client has been compromised. You know, I was saying that my client was compromised not because of anything negative. I thought I was saving him, because to man somebody that you have worked with him without having any problem, for him to come up with that kind of attitude that day, something must be wrong somewhere. So I told the world that he has been compromised. One of the things that was in my mind, you know, the La Republique had told a lie that he embezzled 250 million from Sonel, which is not true. I also found out that it was not true. And I thought that they may be using that to blackmail him. And I thought that with all the way that he was behaving in prison, with all the telephones and so on and so forth, I can only conclude that he's compromised. But I know deeper that is not only compromised, He was compromised deeply against the interests of the revolution. And I'm writing a book now. Until that my book comes out, I'm not going to say anything. I can say it when we're in Boya. I will conclude it when we're in Boya, and I will let the world know what I know about what transpired before that letter, that famous letter. That's why I concluded that he was compromised, and I used only one word, one sentence. My client, our president, Siseko Ayub Tabe, has been compromised by La République du Cameroon. I did not develop that. Oh, Master, I gave a job to lawyers. Young lawyers were writing left and right. I have violated rules of confidentiality. I have done this. I have done that. I did not disclose anything that my client told me. Neither did I disclose anything concerning the case that I was doing. I disclosed what I found out about the activities, political activities of my client. And I needed to inform those who employed me so that they should know that I am not a party to it. You understand, Clovis?
Yes, sir. Very well.
That is why I said it was compromised. And of course, events of today will give me reason. Let me conclude by telling you that I lived in the United States here after they attempted to kill me from Paris. We will come to that. I lived in this United States afraid of a particular group of people. I'm not saying this in a tribalistic manner, but I felt that some Bayangi people led by Eric Tato were going to assassinate me if I'm not careful in this United States. Because the way that they received what I said, the way that everybody was attacking me, Eric Tato went on a rampage against me. Up to today, for the last 1 year, I have not heard, I don't listen to his shows, I don't talk to him, I will not talk to him until I leave this planet Earth. Not that I hate him, no, I'm a Christian, I don't hate anybody, but I don't want him to annoy me. So he has made all kinds of statements. He said, oh, they should pray for Lord Barrister Fru, oh, they should do this. He has made all kinds of shows where I was a centerpiece. But let me tell you that he is a dishonest journalist, because when I gave that infamous interview of compromise on ABC, I made sure that I also gave it on his show. I don't know whether you saw that show.
Yes, of course.
Yes, I gave it on Eric Tato's show. The same interview I gave ABC, just to make sure that I balance, so that nobody can say that I was taking sides with anybody. I was only staying on the side of the truth. And I tell you, I'll say it, I'll continue to say it, that Ayub Tabe, my client, was compromised and stays compromised up to today. It is in my opinion, this is now my opinion now. It wasn't my opinion then. My opinion now is that Ayub Tabe is the greatest danger that we have in this revolution.
Wow, Barrister Fru, you've said a lot, and there are a lot of things you are saying that actually, I think the Ambazonian people just need to take time to digest it for themselves, because it's very touching. To me, I'm just surprising, because what I'm seeing here is, we see you've developed a team that is representing our leader so strongly. La République was held, like Chris Anotokam. I will not repeat it on the show. La République was held here at the throat. They had no way. You, from your description, we can have an image that La République was under pressure. You were very audible, talking with us, sharing the stories, the happenings on the media, and which is actually something La République hates. Now, behind the scenes, something had transpired, which we will only know. We are beginning to see the results, because I must say, Barrister Fru, when you blew the whistle and said your client had been compromised, the whole world, we saw what happened. There were so many insults that were thrown at you. There were just so
Yes,
many
I
things.
know.
But now, the puzzles, we are beginning to put them together, because when we see the recent actions of Sisiko Ayok Tabe and the rest, we can now begin to understand that there have been some things that have been
Let me tell
happening.
you, Clovis, La Republique wanted me out, and that is what Ayuk Tabe achieved. Take me out of that defense. And consequently, the next thing while I was here, my colleagues went and held a press conference inside Yaoundé. The very barrister, Paddy Young, that I took very much in confidence, sat in Yaoundé with two of our colleagues and held a press conference to denounce me and said that I'm no longer the lead counsel. I should cease and desist from any activity that concerns the defense of Ayuk Tabe. I have never seen throughout my law practice for 30 years standing that a lawyer who is doing a case with you would go and hold a press conference when you leave or when you are dismissed. He hold a press conference to denounce you. And that was orchestrated by La République du Cameroon. I got to find out that they wanted me out so badly. And the proof is that, let me say it here and now, Clovis, the proof is that barely 2 months after I left, they were sentenced to life. These are people that I left, they were not even arraigned. And I didn't count on having any of them arraigned for any reason in that court. Only for the defense to be fractured and dislocated as I left 2 months after. There was no proper defense, because I cannot understand how lawyers will allow their client to sit there in court up to 5:45 a.m. in the morning and receive a life sentence. I don't care what anybody thinks, but it is only after I left that happened. I could not have happened under my watch. I want to say it loud and clear. I know that they will probably have to sentence them sometime, but it will not be the way that it happened immediately after I left. They successfully, with the help of Ayuk Tabe, they successfully dislocated that solid defense that we built up under my leadership.
Wow.
Somebody is blocking me.
Wow.
Is that a technical error or what?
Yes. Can you please take your finger and wipe over your camera? Just your finger. Your one finger.
My camera.
Yes.
Where is it?
The camera should be directly in front of you. The camera of your laptop, sir.
Okay.
Yes, I think a hawk of you just went through to your camera. Just take your finger directly in front of you and wipe it through the camera. It's in front of you, directly in front at the top of the laptop. Now, fellow Ambazonians, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's edition of Amber Voice with Mr. Nsoh. We've been having a one-on-one with Barrister Nsoh on the details of the Naira 10 incident. And of course, I'm anxious to know, just like you, we are all anxious to know what was happening to our leaders, what had transpired, and the things that they went through. And we want to understand the story behind the whole scenes. Now, brothers and sisters, there is something, I'm getting something from this discussion. I think you too, you are. I want to understand something. We are going to have a part 2 of this discussion, perhaps next week. Because of time, Barrister Fu will be leaving us shortly. But before I let him go, I still have one more question for him, which I
Sure.
will.
If you have time, you can go up to 4 o'clock.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. Great. So I know because of time, this show was scheduled for 1 hour, and we are already over 1.5 hours into it. And I see we still have almost 700 people watching us right now, Barrister Fu, who are interested in what you are saying, and it shows that Ambazonians are thirsty to hear the story. Barrister Fu, we are going to definitely have a part two of this discussion, but there was something I want to understand here. Now you were, I mean, Sisiko Ayok Tabe had dismissed you. So no one, I mean, he needs someone to represent him. The Naira 10, they need another lawyer. He had actually said to you, word for word, that you are no more the leader or the lawyer for his government. For his government. Are
I
you
was
aware?
not his lawyer, and I was not his government's lawyer. I was the lead counsel and lawyer for Naira 10.
Yes. So
That was what I said.
after he dismissed you, are you aware of who he appointed to become his lead lawyer for the Naira 10 after he had dismissed you?
I'm not
After
aware.
that,
I'm not aware. I would think that my immediate assistant would have taken over from me, but it looks like it was not the case, and that's the whole defense was dislocated. They were still going to court, but they were not doing what they were supposed to do. In fact, most of my colleagues were not very happy with the way that I left, and most of them were not really willing to be part of that defense anymore. So I don't know what happened behind there. I was no longer there. I was in the United States. Now, if you would permit, I will come back to where my life was threatened.
yes, sir. I
So
think we should have that. Now, I want you to just give us the story of where your life was threatened, and then we are going to get some few calls for today and call it a day, and then schedule a part two of this discussion. Can we agree on that?
yes, sure.
Okay, sir. Proceed.
So what happened was that after I finished what I did in the United States, when I went on ABC and Eric Tato's show, and I was here only for 2 weeks, and I was on my way back. I did not know that, given what I had said here and so on, La Republique had carefully sent a policeman to follow me from Dulles International Airport, Washington, right to Douala, and there was a car waiting at the tarmac in Douala, where they will put me inside and take me I don't know where. So how did I know this? I was in that flight from Dulles to Paris with him. I didn't know. When I got to Paris and I had gotten to the Channel 2, Terminal 2, Gate 44, which
Yes.
was where I was supposed to take the flight to Douala, I went to where we had free Wi-Fi, and I opened my phone. Clovis, I had 72 missed calls. 72. I said, my God. As I sat down and I just started looking at the phone, a young lady walked up to me and said, "Are you John?" I said, "Yes, sir. Yes, madam." I said, "Come with me." My heart almost went into my stomach. So I got up and I followed her. She made a call to somebody in Paris. A young Manu girl saved my life. A young Manu girl, let me repeat myself, a young Manu girl working in Paris. I think she too works in that airport. Talked to me. And that woman gave me the phone and I talked to her and she said, "Pa, don't take that flight. Don't take that flight. We have been trying to get to you all night. Don't take that flight because there's a man who is following you all the way from Washington and they are going to kill you. There's a car waiting to take you from Douala and take you wherever. We have already bought a ticket for you. Go to the counter and they'll give you a ticket for you to come back." Luckily, you know, I have had a green card in the United States for many years, so it wasn't a problem. Clovis, I left that place and I went down to, I looked, as I turned, no, I didn't leave. I turned around, I saw a man pretending to be looking at his phone, and I recognized the person. It's a commissioner of police. His name is Mbogo. Mbogo. I had known him in Douala, and he was now working in Yaoundé or someplace. So I saw him pretending to look at his phone. I suspected that was him. He had some earphones. So I left. I went to Gate 21, still in Terminal 2,
Yes.
where where it was a big flight. They were loading. There were so many people, so I mixed myself in there. And when I sat and I was watching, I think he realized that I had gone somewhere. So he too was walking back down, and I'm sure he was looking for me. I sat there until that flight left. Air France didn't call to say that I'm being awaited at departure. They did not call. I suspect that they knew that I was not going to take that flight. I don't know how. So I went after that. Ambazonians came from Paris. They were at Terminal 2, trying to enter, to tell me not to take that flight. They were even ready to buy a ticket for me right in Paris for me to go back to the United States. And they were talking to me on the phone. They were calling me. I had calls from Germany, from England, from the United States late at night, because at the time I was sitting there, it was night in the United States.
Yeah.
So I waited there. When that flight left, I went to that booth, and I saw a ticket bought and paid for by a very important Ambazonian here in Maryland.
Wow.
And then I showed them the stump of my luggage, the two luggages that I had. They took it and rerouted my luggage, meaning that my luggage did not enter that flight.
That's right.
It did not enter that flight. I started thinking, meaning that they knew that I was not going to take that flight. So it is the longest flight of my life since I've been traveling. Long how? Because I didn't know where I was going. I don't know what was going to happen to me. I had given everybody bye-bye in the United States, and all of a sudden I'm going back. I'm not even sure where I'm going to sleep when I arrive. Of course, Ambazonians being what they are, they had rented a hotel for me. They had done everything. I tell you, our people are great. So by the time I got to the airport, somebody was there to pick me up.
Wow.
And that is Dr. Tata, the chief security man of the presidency of the presidency. He picked me up and took me to a hotel.
Wow.
First, we didn't go to a hotel straight. We went to Baniko, Sebastian Baniko's house, where I met Eric Tato. At that time, I did not know his level of involvement. I didn't know what was going on. And then from there, Dr. Tata drove me to a hotel where I stayed 2 days before the very important Ambazonian who had bought that ticket gave me a place to stay. And from there, the rest of my life is history. I'm still here, still on exile, away from my family, away from everybody. But it is better than being killed, because the plan was to take me, put me in that car, and drive me towards Yaoundé and enter the bush and slaughter me just like they did with Garangi. Because I had been informed by the diplomats. How did I know? The diplomats tell me that they can never arrest me, but they cannot guarantee my safety, because they can kill me. I was informed and knew that they would kill me at any time. So that's what happened.
Barrister Fu, I think this is enough information for the day, and of course we are planning on having a part 2 of this discussion. Now, I really want to thank you so much, sir. I really want to appreciate your time. We are going to have a part 2 of this discussion, I promise. And I really
Are there any questions that have come?
Yes,
I will answer.
Yes, that's right. That's I think now, fellow Ambazonians, those of you watching us live on Facebook, we are going to open the lines right now for you to call in and ask some questions. Please, we have limited time, but I will appreciate if some of you will call. I can see we're already having some callers on the line. If you can call and then post your questions to Barrister Fu, that would be great. Hello, sir. Hello, madam. Welcome to Amber Voice with Mr. Nsoh. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir. We are getting you. So, what's your question for Barrister Fu?
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah,
By the way, who is speaking? Who is speaking and where are you calling us from?
Don Zinger calling from what?
Hello, Don.
Yeah, Barrister, how you doing?
I cannot hear him.
My question to you is, my question is really very technical. When you were defending Sisiko Ayub, were you an Ambazonian then? Because I don't really know when you became an Ambazonian. So were you an Ambazonian at that time?
Very interesting question. I had
Barrister
been an
Fu.
Ambazonian since 1992, sir. Right from the All Anglophone Conference, 1993, 1994. And in fact, when I left the United States in 84 and went to practice law in Douala, I had never actually considered myself a Francophone or anywhere near, or a Cameroonian, because I felt ostracized by the attitude of those of the people in that part of the country. But I have been an Ambazonian. You will know that I became a lawyer for Ayuk Tabe after I had been on television for several weeks or months defending Ambazonia, defending the interests of Ambazonia. And you will know the encounters I had with a lot of CPDM people, Masanga Nyamji and others. Those are famous. Those clips are still there on YouTube. If you want to know, go back to YouTube. You will see all of them and know when I started before I became Ayuk Tabe's lead counsel. To make
But
a long story, I have been in the struggle for long.
thank you, Barrister Fu, for making that clear enough. Actually, fellow Ambazonians, we were born Ambazonians. So you are not becoming an Ambazonian by affirmation. You become an Ambazonian by birth in this sense. So Barrister Fu, as he said, he was born an Ambazonian. I was born an Ambazonian. So thank you so
Of
much,
course.
caller, for that question. Please, the lines are open. We are still going to take 2 or 3 more questions before we go. Um, it's interesting, Barrister Fu. I want to applaud your courage again, sir. And I believe that particular flight from Washington to Paris and back must have been actually the longest because it's at least a 9 hours flight on one way.
It sounded like 24-hour flight, Clovis, when I was returning, because I was so worried. I didn't know where I was going. I could hardly eat. In the plane. I was beaten. I was beaten because I had just missed death.
Wow, I can imagine.
Yes.
I can imagine. Fellow Amazonians, the lines are open. You have the lines, the telephone number on the screen. In case you should be having a question, let me see if some people have sent me some questions on WhatsApp. I said you can also send your questions through WhatsApp in case you don't want to call. Of course, I can get your questions.
6, 3,
Okay,
9.
we have the next caller on the line. Hello and welcome to Amber Voice with Mr. Nsoh. Hold on, sir. Hold on, sir. For some reason. Hello, sir. Can you get me? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, hello. Good evening, Mr. Nsoh.
Good evening, sir. Welcome on board. Who is speaking and where are you calling us from?
Yeah, this is Comrade Bison calling from Malaysia.
Hello, Comrade Bison. So what's your question for the
Let me hear it. Let me hear the question. I'm not hearing.
Mr. Nsoh, for bringing the great barrister of Ambazonia on your show. I want to thank Pa for all what he has been doing. And I want to beg Pa, because the revolution is in a very difficult moment now, so Pa should not sleep. Pa should not get tired. Pa should be awake all the time because our revolution is facing a very big challenge. We have a lot of challenges now. So my question goes to Pa. I want to find out if Pa, my question goes like this. If I want to find out from Pa if he's aware of the case court in Nigeria, our leaders for the Naira 10, they were giving some money for compensation. I want to find out if this money has been awarded to them or if they have received this money. If not,
No.
because these people compromising Ambazonians means they are owing us a lot. If there is a means that we can block this money from reaching them, it's going to be a good thing. I don't know if you still have contact with the lawyers in Nigeria, whether they have received this money or not, because compromising Ambazonians' future, the number of people who have died, these people don't need to receive this money, especially the compromised ones. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your question. I think your question is clear
Okay,
enough.
I got
Barrister
the question. Yes, I got the question. First, the Attorney General of the Federal Republic of Nigeria took an appeal. Took an appeal on that matter. Took an appeal on that matter, so no money has been paid. You can rest assured. Yes, I am in contact with Femi Falana. I've not spoken with him for quite a while, but I have been in contact with him. And to lay your fears to rest, I am still very busy. You must have heard Clovis tell you that I have been having meetings all day. You also want to know that yours truly here was appointed the deputy chair of the oversight intergovernmental oversight committee that is going to look make sure that the award money that is being raised is properly utilized and nothing happens to it. President Sako issued an order appointing the chairperson and me as the deputy. So I'm still very much busy. I'm still very, very, very much in the revolution. The day I would leave is the day I die, or the day we get to Boya and I can take a rest.
Thank you so much, Barrister Nsoh, for that wonderful response. I have another caller on the line. Hello, sir. Welcome to Amber Voice with Mr. Nanchop.
Hello, Mr. Nanchop.
Yes, sir. Where are you calling from and who is talking, please?
I first of all want to thank you for your impressive show today. As always, my name is Mr. Sama, and I'm calling from the US of A.
Great, Mr. Sama. So what's your question for the barrister?
So I also want to thank the barrister for coming on the show today, for giving us this deep insight of what happened in Yaoundé. And I have this question for barrister. Sir, I want to find out from what you said that you feel that Mr. Ayub Tabi was compromised. Do you still feel the same up to now? And if yes, what is the other reason you can give us to actually pinpoint to this fact that he was being compromised? Because that's how I feel.
Listen, I made that statement and I stand by it. And the events from that time until now, everybody knows that you will give me credit for those who wanted to take off my head. Everybody, I'm sure that a lot of people owe me an apology because if you look at what is happening today, a man, a leader of an army who has been caught in battle by the enemy and put under lock and key cannot not sing to talk on behalf of his people while in prison. It is impossible. You may want to know that Mr. Ayub Tabe is now negotiating ceasefire for us when he doesn't know anything about what is happening on the ground. He doesn't know. He has no fighters on the ground. He doesn't know what is happening. And who tells you? Who told him that if he's a president? Who tells him that the president goes for negotiation? The president always sends a team who report to him, and he gives directives. That is a clear example of somebody who is compromised, who is no longer working for the interests of the people that he was leading as a captain or as a general, and was captured. So I don't want to develop anything more than that. There are many other things that he has done. He has been meeting with La Republic of Cameroon in secrecy, which I know. Lawyers have informed me. Even his own lawyers have informed me. So that is all I know. Politically, Mr. Ayuk Tabe is heavily compromised. I stand by it, and I will die with it.
Thank you so much.
And one other thing. I seem to put all this in perspective. To say that this young man had never done politics before. How he got himself catapulted to the leadership of Ambazonian, it is still unclear to me. But I know that he was elected in the 4th conclave in Nigeria. But before that, what was he? What was he in this struggle? To have known the intricacies, to have known the attitude of the La Republic of Cameroon. He started selling while I was still his counsel. I did not know that he had been talking to the director of civil cabinet of Mr. Beer until I found out, and it ached me. It ached me because I gave my life for everything. I gave up my life for him. I was going to die in La Republic of Cameroon, where I was living, because of this revolution, and because, more especially, because I was defending Ayuk Tabe. And for him to have done that, talk to the enemy without talking to your lawyer, it's a mark of no confidence in your lawyer if you do that. And a good lawyer would walk away from that case. If I had known from the beginning that Mr. Ayuk Tabe was talking to Ayolo Bondo, I would have not lasted long as his lawyer. Thank you.
And of course, from the look of things, I can personally say that we've seen the evolvement of things in the past months and weeks. We now can conclude that a lot of things went wrong. It is no secret that ever since, just like Barrister Fu said, he left the case, barely 2 months after he left, after Sisiko had dismissed him, La Republique then had to do what? Pass their sentence. Just like Barrister Fu said, La Republique's hands were tied. They could not do anything based on the team, due to the team, the way they had pushed La Republique to the wall. And of course, it's sad to see that, and this is my own opinion, I'm entitled to my own opinion. It's sad to see that Sisiko Ayuk Tabe was manipulated to go to Naira. He never learned that. I mean, this is something that exposed him to the captivity, to the trap of La Republique. Now we see him again in La Republique, in the dungeons of La Republique, and still he had not learned a lesson. La Republique had manipulated him. This is what I tend to think of it. As I said, I'm entitled to my own personal opinion, that La Republique had manipulated him to the level where, seeing that his lawyer, the legal team that was defending him, was a big hindrance to La Republique to do anything with him, and to them, they had to look for a means to manipulate him through private discussions, so much that he had to get rid of his legal defense. And we all see what happened. We all saw what happened to him. After that, just like the barrister said, they were sentenced, and up till date, the question is, and still remains, who are their present lawyers? Who is defending them? Who is standing for him? Who is advising? Because, on constant instances, we see Sisiko Ayuk Tabe making, I would say, wrongful decisions. He keeps making decisions where I think, and I'm thinking to myself as an Ambazonian, who is advising this man? Who is advising Sisiko? Who is advising him? It's just like seeing a child going astray, and you're like, who are the parents of this child? Who are the ones advising this child? I mean, talking of Sisiko, an ex-president of Ambazonia, the question is, who is advising him? Because to me it seems like he keeps making wrong decisions upon wrong decisions, doing, detrimental things to the revolution upon, one actions to another, which are all detrimental to the revolution. And the question still remains, who are his lawyers? Who are those advising him? Brothers and sisters, until our next episode of Amber Voice, where we shall be having Barrister Fru as again a guest to discuss on some of these things. As I said, we are going to have a part 2 of this discussion. We will want to know more from what he's been saying. But before I let him go, I may want to give him a minute to say a word. Barrister Fru.
Thank you, Clovis, for having invited me for this first section of the show. Uh, you lighted a bulb in my head to relieve what in my professional life has been very challenging. The case of the Naira 10 was one of the most celebrated cases that I have done. Even if I die tomorrow, my children will remember that is the case that their father did in La République du Cameroon, because I gave it my all. My colleagues, I take this opportunity to thank my colleagues who assisted me in this mission. More especially Barrister Ndong, Barrister Padillon in Bamenda, in spite of the fact that he denounced me. He held a press conference to denounce me. That was unethical, and I don't know why the Cameroon bar did not look into that. But since I'm not on the ground, I can't say much. I'd like to thank him for the work that we did together. I'd like to thank Victor Njitang, who the young lawyer that drove me there has become the cornerstone of the Ambazonian defense, now still on the ground. Along with Barrister Ndong, I want to take this opportunity to thank them, and that they should know that we are working to put back a defense to defend our people if they are not yet released by the time we put up that defense. But we are making sure, we are working hard to make sure that they are released. We are putting maximum pressure on La République du Cameroon to make sure that our people are taken out of that dungeon. I can understand when you are in prison, they can force you to do anything, say something, do what you don't want to do. But when you are a leader and you are in prison, you continue to behave like a leader, just like Mandela did. Mandela never reneged on his role as a leader. And a leader does not offer his people to be slaughtered. I thank you very much, Clovis. We'll meet maybe next week and continue. And I would like to take questions from Ground Zero, because that is where I came from. And they know me, they know what I did, know what I was doing on the networks, Equinox, Afrique Media, LTM, STV, all those journalists, Radio Balafon, all of them know me. So I thank you.
Thank you, sir, and thank you for coming to the platform of Amber Voice. Now, fellow Ambazonians, this has been your favorite program, and you know it. Fans and friends of Mr. Nanchop, this is Amber Voice. I'm so glad and happy that we had Barrister Fru today, but listen, hey, I'm going to talk with Barrister Fru on the background for us to reschedule a part 2 of this show, and you may really want to know about some other things. There are questions I still have that I want to get them answered. There are things we want to know. We want to also talk about the present happenings and the connections that they might have. We want to tap from an elderly source like Barrister Fru, a well of wisdom. He might have some advices for us. Don't you think that? But nevertheless, I also want to get his own opinion on the current issues. So I really want to keep you hoping and expecting that the part 2 of this show is going to be also an exciting one. So, brothers and sisters, fellow Ambazonians, beautiful people of the beloved nation of Ambazonia, this has been your favorite program, Amber Voice. Mani Beleno Bistor, Wulitokam Asosiam. I thank you so much. Stay tuned to Amber Voice with Mr. Nanchob, and of course, don't forget tomorrow. Hey, all we day for Menchum Fall, man. We want to draft this drafting has been a great nightmare for La République du Cameroon, believe me. Talking about Menchum tomorrow, talking about the Menchum drafting tomorrow, please, I will be coming up shortly before the Menchum draft. I think at 4 p.m. Amber time tomorrow for a short presentation with the Menchum chair. Comrade Frank, we had him last year. I mean, we had him on Monday. Female General was with him on this platform on Amber Voice, and they talked about a lot of things. Listen, do you really? I believe so much that Menchum is a county with a lot of beauty, and one for all for one. This is Ambazonia. So, brothers and sisters, it has always been my plea that even if you are not from Menchum, you can chip in $100 or $50. So we all shall be meeting tomorrow at the platform of ABC Amber TV. We want to join our people from Menchum. We want to draft. Yes, and I'll be glad to see you there. But as I said, tomorrow 4 p.m. Amber time, we shall be having on this platform our Menchum chair, Comrade Frank, as a guest. He has some things to tell us before we jump into the Menchum room to do our drafting. I've been your host on this special edition of Amber Voice with Mr. Nanchop. Thank you and stay tuned to Amber Voice. Have a nice time, have a nice evening, and enjoy this beautiful piece of music. Cheers.
Ungekum, umbamba chembe. Elchike chondong, cry our pain.
Mbasi me etobo imeme bo, mbasi ji etobo ijiji bo, mbasi nabi jobo inanabo, governor mome wongye, chama minister mome wongye, chama president mome wongye, chama parliamentarian, chama injaki guni sedo disi menga. Injaki guni sedo disi menga. Abeme de quimbe, abeme de bane, abeme de tongue, begem de bunywe. Abeme de quimbe, abeme de bane, abeme de tongue, begem de bunywe. Como ye bine mai gimba, ato como ye mai gimba.
Isambai, upe Malabo. Isambai, upe Gabon. Isambai, upe US. Isambai, upe Guinée Equatorial. Isambai, upe South Africa. Isambai, upe USA.
Grigai gama te duen chapa chapa chap 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 chapa chap 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 chapa chap 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 chap.
Ekunidi Georgia, Chief of Ngi people, Malabo. Ngi must be one. Contendo Roberto, my barrister. Ekunidi Georgia, the Chief of Chiefs, Ngi people, Malabo.
Bungu be iwe panko, de buto bunga noma rubu si kukume.
Bunga yombe yede, mbami ninja o.
Ta Stanley, President, Meta Community, Guinée Equatorial. Senior Felix, President, Momo Community. Ndum Emmanuel, Bachibo Community, Guinée Equatorial. Tiny Gaius, Menka Community, Guinée Equatorial.
From Daniel, Don Carlos. Awa Peter Jamama.
Mutanga Andrew Monjimba, Eko Kamoto. Limbe Sweet Sote. Mark Thomas Ote, Edim Radio. Sound me that sound, my man. Nawongo Manfred, Soldier Ants.
Bakwa Fidel Trump, Atlantic Driller Machine.
Edu Eric Achindo, Libreville, Gabon. Ukabo Menga, L'argent c'est quoi? Money na wati. Bina. Ekenou Victor, President Gipipo, Gabon. Ukomangu bunu ekungwebe, ukomangu buni maki gunise, ukomangu bunu ekungwebe, ukomangu bukwene anjunu gui. Top Gun, Tole Forever, Usa Onade. Devon Simon, US of A. Dayong Valentine, US of A. Chief David Fokim of A3. Omeka Jackson, Cultural Coordinator, US of A. Intaki guni sedo di simenja. Intaki guni sedo di simenja. Abeme ekwimbe, abeme dapane, abeme daidonge mbege mbade bunywe. Abeme dekwimbe, abeme dapane, abeme daidonge mbege mbade bunywe. Ebote Jackson, Latare. Una dance, 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 una dance. Obiangema Teodoro, gracias.
For